I got pulled over for street racing in a Target parking lot. I'm not lying by making this statement, however, like a lot of my stories, there's a bit of a twist. I have a clean driving record so far and plan to keep it like that for as long as possible, so unfortunately for some, I'm not actually hitting up the local drag racing nights at a Target retailer near you, if those even exist. Anyways, as usual, I need to give a little bit of backstory. My accused co-conspirator on this particular occasion was my friend, Adrian. As usual, he's a big car guy like me. His car at the time was a 2005 Subaru Impreza 2.5 RS. These Imprezas are fairly unassuming vehicles in most trims, and the 2.5 RS would fall into this category. Subaru has a massive history in competitive rallying, and the Impreza has been their platform of choice for the past 30 years. These rally cars are extremely successful, and most car enthusiasts can instantly recognize their bright blue and yellow liveries. Seeing some demand, Subaru decided to offer consumers a more rally-inspired Impreza with more power and some inspired aero from the race cars. These Imprezas are called WRXs and add a massive hood scoop and a stout turbo engine. And for the even more hardcore and well-off, Subaru offers an even more powerful WRX called the WRX STI, which in addition to massive power sports a equally massive wing straight from the rally car. These two models are enthusiast dreams and are extremely popular in tuning culture. Adrian didn't have a WRX or STI, however, so he didn't have the massive power, but he had the next best thing. He had the wing from one, and he had no muffler. This wing really is huge. You could use it as a lunch table if you want for you and a couple of friends. And I could have vouched for that because we did it before. Also, without a muffler, these Subaru engines get kinda loud. Here's a sound clip. That's his car from 20 feet away. Oh, and also the car was silver with bright red wheels. What I'm trying to say here is the car got attention, good and bad. Kids loved it, cops hated it. That's Adrian's style though, and he wouldn't change it for a thing. Enter me. At this time, along with my Skyline, which was down for a bit of work, I had a Nissan 350Z. My plan for this car was the same as most cars I've owned. Buy it with problems, fix them, and then sell for a good amount more when I'm done. This was my first time experimenting with the concept. I bought the car with said problems and a few interesting cosmetic choices. The car was this beautiful deep blue named Daytona Blue. However, the previous owner took it upon himself to spray paint the wheels along with every other single badge on the car black. This wasn't to my taste, and I think the market would have agreed with me, so over a few months, I began the process of reverting all the badges and the wheels back to their proper colors. I forgot to mention the car came with some rough bumpers. Being a sports car, it is pretty low and will scrape on some driveways if you aren't careful. The previous owner forgot this and informed me he had plowed the front bumper straight into his steep driveway, putting a massive crack down the center of it. He also accidentally backed into his garage door, putting a huge dent and spiderweb crack across the rear bumper. This also wouldn't do if I wanted to get top dollar on the market, so I needed to fix both of them, having them repaired and repainted. I was recommended to someone by a friend to do some paint work, and he had a good price, so I dropped the bumpers off with him. This was my only functioning car, so I continued to drive it around without these bumpers. Yes, it was extremely unattractive having the massive metal crash bars sticking out on both the front and rear, and a significant chunk of the Daytona Blue bodywork removed, but it's what I had to do. The usual industry turnaround on small parts like those are a few weeks max. Well, this turned out to take 3 months. Yes, I drove around like that for 3 months. No, he will not be painting any of my cars again. I got asked if I crashed too many times to count, and saying it was the previous owner almost always prompted a sarcastic "sure" or an eye roll. Jokes on them though, when the bumpers finally came back, I made a killing on the car when it sold. So, you're probably thinking, when will he talk about street racing? Right now. On a particular Friday night, Adrian and I decided to go for a drive with our two cars when they were fairly new to us. Another friend of ours, Kevin, rode with me. We wanted to take some cool pictures of them together. We toured some spots, but then we had a brilliant idea. Target. This might seem like a strange choice, but we wanted to park in the semi-loading docks and get a cool industrial kind of scenery with our cars. This would also allow us to get a higher angle of the cars that is pretty rare to see normally. Feeling like professional photographers for having planned out a photo shoot, we cruised to Target. It's now close to 11 p.m., so we were feeling pretty good. There definitely wouldn't be any semis in the loading dock at this time, and we wouldn't be having too many people thinking we were weird. Arriving at Target, Adrian did what he does best. It was pretty empty, but he still somehow got some attention. We stopped and properly proceeded through a set of stop signs in front of the store, and at the end, Adrian revved his first gear all the way to the loading docks in the back of the store. I pulled slowly up about a minute later. Making noise isn't really my style. Then we took some very nice pictures, probably the best ones that we both ever took of those cars. Content with them, we both parked at the back of the lot, chatting through open windows because it was cold out. Kevin and I had just our heated seats on while Adrian was rumbling at idle with his heat blasting. The year being 2018, we ended up on the conversation of Fortnite and were hyping ourselves up to head home and get a few games in to close out our successful night. Right in our battle royale excitement, we both turned to see a police officer pulled into the lot. He stopped, probably scanning, and then immediately made a beeline for our cars. Oh boy. He got out and walked up to my window. As my luck usually goes, he didn't seem amused. I figured we were just gonna get asked to leave the lot since the store was closed, but instead I was confronted with, "Alright, I just got a call about two cars street racing in this parking lot. You wanna tell me something before I have both of your cars impounded right now?" So much for a hello. Anyways, I'm respectful. These officers have to honor reports and calls that get made. However, if I didn't do something wrong, no way am I going to just accept something. I let them know that the report was false, and they probably heard the Subaru, but I can assure them there was no racing involved. They didn't say anything about noise. They said there were two cars racing. I know plenty of 16-year-olds who would be dumb enough to go drag race in a Target parking lot. Adrian and I are not those dumb 16-year-olds. But the officer continued to assure me, "There's cameras all over the parking lot. They caught you racing. I'm this close to towing both of your cars if you don't tell me something about that." He was really fishing for an admittance of guilt, but he won't get it from me. I told him that since there are cameras, we can just go look at them and clear up this misunderstanding. That wasn't an admission he was looking for. "No, you can't look at the cameras. Look, people don't make false calls. What were you doing?" I told him Adrian's car was loud, and that's why they called. They weren't talking about noise. "Were you drifting?" Told him no, he can look around for tire marks if he wanted. He won't find any, or he could check the cameras. At this point, I was the only one getting interrogated, probably thanks to my lack of bumpers, making me look like I don't have the best driving record. And Adrian was just rumbling away next to us. This rumbling actually saved us. "Turn off the car right now. If you tell me what you were doing, it'll be a lot easier." I smirked at this one, and I let him know the car was off, and that rumbling noise that he happened to notice was Adrian. He was a bit embarrassed by this, and I think he finally got the clue of my confidence that I wasn't doing anything and won't be telling him a ticketable offense anytime soon. So he turns to Adrian and begins his interrogation. Adrian admits to him he may have gassed it a bit and revved out first gear. The officer is grasping hard here for anything he can get us on. "Gassing it? How fast were you going?" Adrian let him know he wasn't paying attention to the number, and with that, the officer broke. He gave an interesting speech about how we should never be gassing it in a parking lot, and we're lucky he's going to let us off with just this stern warning. To really seal the deal, he called in both our plates on the radio to make sure we wouldn't be street racing anywhere else in town when we left this Target. So after about an hour, we were finally able to part ways, go home, and play some video games. We never did gas it near a target again. Until next time, thanks for listening.